Hello everyone and welcome back to the Dustgate Draft League. This is our Week 5 matchup between Lan and Gray. Here down below we have Lan's current team featuring Thaumin, Lumala, Bruneri, Sinogar, Sumobito, Novadeus, and Wiki. Hold on, I'm just gonna make sure. Novadeus and Wiki. He's choosing to use the Novadeus instead of the Solburst Dregadine. On Gray's side of the field, we have the Aolyvul, the Luxor, the Eruptodon, probably Solburst, the Holobunch, the Nemesis, the Sikalute, featuring Mesmerizing, and the Shrimpose. Now, this will be a very interesting matchup. Both of these are very strong teams. Obviously, Gray with his incredibly powerful Bane of Swift, or as some people like me usually call it, haste teams. And then Lan with his incredibly powerful Novadeus, being able to stack boosts onto Lumala, Bruneri being an information demon, and then of course you have the Sinogar with Shakedown revealing more information while also providing moves like Safeguard and Spite. It's incredible in my opinion how well built both of these two teams are, despite both of their records potentially saying different things. These are two very powerful opponents and they both need to look out for each other. So I'm very interested on seeing who's gonna be bringing what. I do obviously Lan's gonna want to bring his Novadeus, same with Gray wanting to bring his Holobunch. I'm just interested on seeing which version of the haste Gray wants to bring over the other. Does he want to bring the Bane of Haste or does he want to bring the Swiften? But we do see the Aolyvul and the Nemesis lead coming from Gray, as we see Thaumin and Sumobito coming from Lan. Now, Sumobito is very powerful, although it is being threatened by this Nemesis with the quad super effective air-type moves. However, Thaumin is threatening it back with super effective ice-type moves. Aolyvul is always threatening moves such as Drudge, Brawn Boost, or just relative damage. Aolyvul, of course, being able to set up with safely with Aqua Body, not being able to be burnt, and of course setup sweeping with aggressive plus Drudge for another move. Truly some incredible sets that can be able to come from this Aolyvul. Nemesis, on the other hand, incredible spread damage with the move Shadow Pulse, incredible one-hit damage with Pepper Burst and or Jetstream. You have the Gust for potential hazard removal, and then for speed boost, we see Thaumin using Thunderstrike into the Aolyvul, and then the Volt Shell increasing that damage even more, still not picking up a KO though. That's what non-stab does to you, I'm afraid. See Dark Surge coming from the Nemesis onto the Thaumin, not quite picking up a one-hit KO, but leaving it in the deep red as the Aolyvul does go for a Drudge. But now we have Boonery, potentially a Boots Boonery. Do not count out any Boots Booneries. And Lan now knows the entire set of this Nemesis minus the item and the TPs. So this Boonery is just able, if it is Boots, it will be able to pick up a KO onto this Aolyvul. While Thaumin I believe, will still be able to outspeed this Nemesis. And potentially, very big potential here, be able to kill it with moves such as Frost Beam or Deep Freeze, being that stab, getting that extra 25% damage boost. Of course, Lan can always swap back into the Sumobito and whoever he has unrevealed, same with Gray. However, it is very risky, especially considering Sumobito is being threatened by quad super effective damage on this Nemesis. However, we do know that the previous turn that Gray did abuse this fact and hit a Dark Switch into the Thaumin instead of going for the quick, easy Jetstream onto the Sumobito. But of course, this Boonery is ever more threatening now. Who knows what type of moves the Nemesis has? Actually, I have both of the team codes, however, nonetheless. Me personally, I check the team codes after the battle because I think it ruins them with the surprise factor when it's giving the spectating. We do see the Nemesis slash... Yeah, the Nemesis slash Boonery swap into Sinogar, who is the last Lumion on land side. And we see Gray just go for a dodge on the Oculos, which dodges the Thawmon's Thunder Strike, and then the Dark Surge from the Nemesis once again, picking up a KO onto this, onto the Thawmon, which forces, effectively forces Lan back into the Boonery to not be able to be threatened by that quad super effective damage of the Nemesis. And now this Boonery has the +1 melee attack and speed of this Oculos due to it going for the Drudge. Along with knowing the entire set of this Oculos, of course, again, minus the item. However, we do know that this Oculos is not a Volt Pearl, nor is it some sort of restrictive business, as it has used both Drudge and Dodge. See Oculos swapping into the Sickaloot, as Nemesis swaps into Eruptodon, revealing the last two. Boonery uses Dodge, just stalling out the turns, as Sinogar Muck Blast goes into the Sickaloot, dealing overall decent damage considering it is a not fully evolved. However, Sickaloot is pretty ranged bulky, as it is a part of the Violana line, which is known for its ranged bulk, especially in combination with the Moose Stratagem, which uses your base range defense as an attack instead of your ranged attack. So very interesting. See that maybe it isn't as range defensive as we thought. However, nonetheless, still a +1 attack and speed Oculos slash Boonery, threatening almost everything on the field. Quad super effective damage onto this Eruptodon, super effective damage of Ice Hammer onto this Sickaloot. And hold on a minute, I just realized Lan never brought his Nova Deus the same way Gray didn't bring his Holobunch, nor did he bring any Swiften modes, or Bane of Gates modes for that matter. Interesting. Boonery uses Ice Hammer into the Sickaloot, as it does pick up a KO from the slightly chipped Sickaloot. As Eruptodon Hellstorm goes into the 2, there is no... As Sinogar goes for the Spike into the Eruptodon, bringing it down to half HP, there is no safeguard from the Sinogar to block the Hellstorm. As a large part of me suspects that Lan was suspecting the Eruptodon to go for a Magma Block instead of the Hellstorm. And we see Gray go back into the Oculos. Now this Oculos no longer has any boost, while this Boonery has the Drudge boost that it might need. And it seems like Gray might just want to stall out turns, get more and more of that Hellstorm chip going. As well, it is only for 3 turns. That is 3 incredible turns of damage when you combine those 3 turns of chip onto the initial chip of Hellstorm. It starts to really stack up, and you get to see how much damage it is really doing. And so, when considering having that go long against even resists such as Boonery, this Boonery slash Oculos was near full HP if I remember correctly before that. And now, after even 1 turn of chip, it is almost at half HP. Now, Gray does swap out this Oculos for the Nemesis, as Sinogar swaps out in return for the Sumobito, and Eruptodon Magma Block, and Boonery Rogue Assault going into the Nemesis, dealing a little bit under half HP, essentially more about a 33%, 35, maybe even 40 I'd go to say. Then Hellstorm. Am I crazy, or did I see that health? Did I see Health Amulet? I wasn't actually looking. I was looking at the Nemesis HP. Of course, Sumobito is being ever more threatened. However, a potential Guru Counter Strike or Counter Poise or Counter Stance. I don't remember what the move is called. I have to be honest. I don't see Sumobito that often. I think it's Counter Poise move into the Nemesis will be doing a decent chunk of damage considering Sumobito's pure strength. but Gray just swaps it out, and this Eruptodon is currently defenseless due to the Magma Block as Boonery Ice Hammer goes into the Ocalos. Quad Resist. As Eruptodon Fire Breath goes into the Boonery, this is being maneuvered beautifully by Gray. Whoa, what move is that? A super effective move. Oh, that was a Double Beat! Double Beat going into the Eruptodon, picking up the KO. Now potential counter stance, counter poise, counter everything. I believe that was also the last turn of Hellstorm, correct me if I'm wrong. But if that was the last turn of Hellstorm, then this Boonery is here to potentially stay. If not, I believe Gray just goes for a quick double dodge. And then this Boonery is unfortunately forced to die to Hellstorm, unless it just lives on a sliver of HP. If it lives on a sliver of HP, that is incredibly tragic. However, the game is the game. Nemesis goes for a dodge. Sumobito uses Counterpoise onto the Nemesis, but it fails. Boonery Rogue Assaults into the Nemesis, and it fails. And Ocalos goes for a Drudge. We have a game. We have a game. This Boonery is out of energy. I don't know if it has enough energy for anything else. It might have to just go for a Flail. And then the last mon being Sinogre. Sinogre is obviously very offensively powerful. Did you not have, like, a semi... I guess if you're not counter stance, then you can't go for that counter stance play. Ocalos goes for a dodge, Nemesis goes for a dodge, but it fails. Sumobito counter poise fails. Boonery Ice Hammer going into the Nemesis, picking up the KO. Just barely enough energy. And it seems like that's the game. This Ocalos, even when at +1, cannot pick up against the last 3 Lumions of land side. Game 1 goes to land as a 3-0 victory with all of Sinogre, Boonery, and Sumobito alive. I am honestly shocked that neither team brought their restricted Lumias, as they are restricted for a reason. They are so incredibly powerful, Novadeus in particular being so versatile. It's kind of shocking to see that there was no Bring. Instead, it was just the Thaumin, the Boonery, the Sinogre, and the Sumobito, which honestly was more than enough. Thaumin, although didn't do much, respectively enough, Thaumin still got the chip on the Ocalos, which essentially won him the game. I believe Gray could have potentially fought for a differential in killing that Boonery. If, of course, Counterpoise... I don't know how much Counterpoise would do, but considering how much that Double Beat did to the Eruptodon, I wouldn't be shocked to say that this Sumobito is a Guru instead of Double Strike. Actually, I don't even know how Double Strike Double Beat works. I'm assuming it'll just hit 4 times. However, nonetheless... I'm kind of expecting Gray to pivot more to evasive haste mode due to the astounding speed of +1. Yeah, just of that Boonery into the Ocalos. The astounding and overwhelming speed of that was just too much for Gray's team to handle. We see the 60s and the Eruptodon lead coming from Gray's side, as Novadeus and Sumobito lead coming from land. As just previously said, Novadeus is incredibly versatile here. It can pick up potentially just an immediate KO with Draco Beam onto this Eruptodon, or an Ice Hammer onto this Sickly. Eruptodon goes for a Magma Block, not even getting the Soul Burst in front of this. As Novadeus Bitter Cold, this is a support Novadeus, and Sickly Stratagem deals just over half to Sumobito. As Double Beat, not quite a KO onto the Sickaloot. I believe that does mean that this is pretty well invested onto the Sickaloot for the melee defense. I don't think it would be able to take that otherwise. Maybe I'm underestimating the crap out of Sickaloot, and honestly, I don't think you can blame me. It is a Sickaloot after all. But the Sickaloot able to tank that Sumobito double beat, which we have gotten confirmation now is Guru. We didn't actually see it get more than one hit off of the attack previously, so we wouldn't actually be able to know if it was Guru or double beat. The Sickaloot is now in red HP under all that, and we know the bitter cold of this Nova Deus. Of course, Sumobito always able to go for a move such as Counterpoise, removing its speed tier out of question. Nova Deus, again, Draco Beam, Outburst, all very powerful options to go into this Eruptodon, and will also kill this Sickaloot. Especially if it is Archaic Shell. See, Eruptodon Soul Bursting into its Magmadire form as Nova Deus goes for an Outburst into the Sickaloot, picking up the KO, as Eruptodon goes for a Hellstorm, which doesn't quite KO Sumobito, funnily enough. Although it will die to the Hellstorm chip afterwards. And Double Beat hitting this Eruptodon into the red HP as well. And now Eruptodon's in trouble. Eruptodon is in some serious trouble if that Bitter Cold got off in the first turn. But we see Shrimposte coming onto the field. With Storm Globe Shrimposte. Interesting tech. I'm unsure on what the implications of that is. Maybe there is a Climate Cannon somewhere on the field? I'm unsure, but Boonery has used its Two-Face ability and has transformed into the Shrimposte, so that both sides of the field have Preemptive Strike on the table, which could be very, very dire here on both occasions. This Eruptodon is effectively crippled. This Shrimposte, well, I mean, the Sickaloot is dead on that side, and while Sickaloot is dead, Sumobito is also dead for land side. So we do just see Nova Deus swap into Sinoga, revealing the last Eruptodon, going for a Magma Block, trying to stall out as many turns as possible. Boonery Preemptive Strike going into the Shrimposte. And yet the Thunderstorm rages on. Now, Eruptodon obviously not revealing too much of its move pool. All that we really know is Fire Breath, Magma Block, and the, of course, ever-looming Hellstorm. I don't believe it's revealed any other moves. But we also don't know the last Lumion of Gray's side. It could be that Nemesis, it could be Holobunch, it could be Swiften. But we'll be able to get to see now as Eruptodon swaps out into the Oculos we have just found out. As Vital Jab from the Shrimposte going into the Boonery Sinoga Muck Blast onto the Shrimposte. I'm changing my pronunciation like every time. And then the Vital Jab from the Boonery Shrimposte onto the Oculos, dealing just under 50% HP. I think even if Shrimposte uses Vital Jab onto the Boonery, Muck Blast will still pick up the KO, unless it heals that much. I would be shocked if it actually healed that much HP. But of course, the Sinoga is able to Muck Blast into the Oculos as well. You could also double up into the Oculos, but that is a little bit risky as it could dodge, but instead it grudges as Sinoga Muck Blast goes into the Shrimposte, picking up the KO. As Boonery Vital Jab goes into the Oculos, still not quite picking up a KO. As Eruptodon will be coming back onto the field. Both Lumions in the red, both Lumions with no way to heal, but both Lumions with ways to stall out the match to a screeching halt. As Oculus Rogue Assault with Martial Shell goes into the Boonery. This is a +1 attack, and it is putting it into the yellow HP just above red. But the Milkshake brings it back up to green. As Eruptodon Fire Breath goes into the Boonery. Not quite dealing enough. Sinogre Muck Blast goes into the Oculos. As Boonery Shell Bash goes into the Eruptodon. Game 2, Lan 3-0. Yeah, Game 2, Lan 3-0. Incredibly well fighting from both sides here. Incredible preparation from Lan. Bitter cold Nova Deus was not something I was expecting, to be completely honest. Honestly, let's just check out the teams right here. We have the Expertise Volt Shell. Vein of Haste probably to reverse it. Lumala with Water Essence. Why Water Essence? Honestly, just some incredible sets. We have the Restrictive Armor Guru, of course. Whoa. I'm intrigued about that one. Then Wiki kind of just being a normal set. What about Gray's side? I'm intrigued. Yeah, Martial Shell, it was Aqua Body, so it wasn't aggressive. We have you, of course, planning to use you. Eruptodon. All of these fairly normal sets, to be honest. Maybe that was Stonefull, maybe not. I don't actually think so. I don't know what. I still don't know why the heck this was Stormblow. I'm confused. But nonetheless, good game and well played to both players. I should be filming another battle soon, I think. So we'll see you then. And if not, we'll see you in the next one.